Previously, he risked everything to save the woman he loved, even when she couldn't love him back the same way. A life was saved, a heart was chosen, and just when it seemed like their story had finally found peace, something darker began to unfold. Now, as they step into a new beginning filled with love, marriage, and an unexpected pregnancy, a silent truth lurks beneath the surface. His smiles hide something. His time feels limited. What really happened after the surgery? And when love demands one more sacrifice, will this time be the end? They're back home. The space feels familiar, yet different, like something invisible has shifted between the walls, something heavy but delicate at the same time. The air carries a quiet that isn't uncomfortable, but careful, like both of them are afraid to disturb it too quickly. They decide to talk things through. Amara sits close to him, closer than usual, her fingers lightly gripping his sleeve as though letting go might somehow take him away again. Her eyes search his face with a mixture of gratitude and guilt that she doesn't even try to hide. "I still don't understand," she says softly, her voice almost breaking before she steadies it. "How did you even see me like that? Like I was worth all of this?" Junisio lets out a faint breath, leaning back slightly, his gaze settling on her but not entirely focusing. "You ask that like it's complicated," he replies gently. "It wasn't. You were just you." She shakes her head immediately, a small, almost embarrassed laugh escaping her. "No, don't do that. Don't make it sound simple. I wasn't even looking at you the way you were looking at me." There's a pause. He studies her this time, properly, and a faint smile forms. "That doesn't change how I felt." She looks down, her fingers tightening slightly. "And what about what you did? Why would you go that far for me?" Her voice softens, almost afraid of the answer. Junisio opens his mouth to respond, but stops. For a second too long. His gaze drifts, just slightly, like his thoughts slip somewhere else entirely. The room falls into a quiet that lingers just long enough to be noticed. "Junisio," she calls gently, nudging his arm. He blinks, quickly returning, a soft smile covering the lapse. I was just thinking." She studies him for a second, then lets it go, her focus pulled back into the moment they're sharing. "You do that a lot now," she teases lightly, trying to keep things from becoming too heavy. "Do what?" "Disappear for a second," she says, poking his shoulder. "Stay here with me." "I am here," he replies, his voice softer now. She smiles again, reassured enough not to question it further. "Then answer me properly. Why did you do it?" He exhales slowly, his tone calmer, steadier. "Because leaving you there, knowing I could do something, and choosing not to, that would have stayed with me forever." Her eyes glisten slightly at that. "You could have lost your life." He shrugs, faintly, almost dismissively. "But I didn't." "That's not the point," she insists, her voice trembling now. He looks at her again, really looks this time, and something in his expression softens. "It is to me." Silence settles again, but this time it's warmer. She shifts closer, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. "And why did you distance yourself from me back then?" she asks, her voice quieter now, more vulnerable. Junisio lets out a quiet breath, his gaze dropping slightly. "Because loving you that way, while standing that close, it was harder than staying away." She tilts her head, looking up at him. "You could have told me." "I did," he says softly, "just not in the way you were ready to hear." That makes her laugh, a small, emotional laugh that carries both regret and affection. "You're annoyingly calm about all this." "I've had time to think about it," he replies. And again, just for a moment, he drifts. Not fully, not enough to break the moment, but enough that his eyes lose focus, like something unseen is pulling at him again. "Hey," she says, tapping his cheek lightly this time. "Stay here." He blinks and smiles, a little sheepish. "I'm here." Amara didn't notice, though. She's just lost in their conversation. She leans back against him, continuing to ask questions, to laugh, to fill the space with warmth that feels long overdue. But somewhere beneath his calm responses and gentle smiles, something lingers, unspoken, unresolved. And for now, it remains his alone. Something is wrong somewhere. It doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't announce itself with obvious signs. It settles in quietly, like a shadow that only grows when no one is paying attention. He is slow, forces a smile while with her, always speaking about their future and how he loves her. And at first, almost feels romantic, like he's simply become softer, more intentional, more present in the things that matter. But there's a slight delay in everything he does now. A pause before he responds. A second too long before he laughs. A moment where his eyes lose focus before returning to her again. Amara notices none of it. She is too wrapped up in happiness, in survival, in the miracle of still having him beside her. "Have you thought about where we should do the wedding?" she asks one evening, her voice full of excitement as she scrolls through pictures on her phone. "I want something big. Not just big, beautiful. Something people won't forget." June SEO watches her, his gaze soft, almost distant, then nods slowly. "It will be," he says, "sooner than you think." She looks up at him with a playful smile. "You keep saying that like you've already planned it without me." "Maybe I have," he replies, a faint smile forming. "Liar," she laughs, nudging him lightly. "You don't even like planning things like that." He doesn't argue. He just watches her for a second longer than usual, like he's holding on to the sight of her joy. Later that night, when she's asleep, the apartment feels different, quieter. He sits at the edge of the bed, staring at nothing in particular. His hand moves slowly to his side, pressing lightly, not enough to cause pain, but enough to confirm something only he understands. He exhales, then stands. The hospital visits begin like this. Quiet exits, soft footsteps, doors that close without sound. He moves through the hospital corridors alone, his presence almost ghost-like. The same nurses greet him, but their smiles are careful, their voices lowered, their eyes holding something they never say aloud. "Mr. Park," one doctor says one evening, glancing at a file before looking back at him, "you should really consider extending your monitoring." "I'm fine," Junseo replies calmly. The doctor hesitates. "You say that, but I'm fine," he repeats, firmer this time. Silence follows. Not agreement, just acceptance. He walks out shortly after, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. Back home, Amara is waiting half asleep on the couch. "Where did you go?" she mumbles as he walks in. "Just needed some air," he answers smoothly, kneeling slightly in front of her. "You should go to bed." She studies him for a second, then smiles lazily. "You're acting weird these days." "Am I?" "Yeah," she says, poking his chest lightly. "But I like it. You're softer." He smiles faintly at that. If only she knew. Days pass like this, balance between warmth and something unspoken. They laugh, they eat together, they plan things, they exist like any couple rebuilding after a storm. But underneath it all, there's a rhythm that doesn't match. A quiet urgency in him, a peaceful excitement in her. She talks endlessly about the wedding, colors, guests, music, the kind of dress she wants, the way she wants to walk in. He listens every time, patiently, attentively, like he's memorizing every detail. "The wedding is sooner than you think," he repeats again one afternoon. She rolls her eyes playfully. "You've been saying that for days now. Should I be worried?" He shakes his head, smiling. "No, just trust me." She laughs it off, but something about the way he says it lingers in the air longer than it should. The audience feels it, because now it no longer sounds like excitement. It sounds like time is running out. And somewhere behind closed hospital doors, the truth waits, unspoken, but getting closer with every passing day. She starts noticing, not all at once, not in a way that alarms her immediately, but in small, quiet observations that begin to gather weight over time. It starts with the way he excuses himself when his phone rings, stepping away just far enough that his voice becomes a murmur she cannot make out. At first, she tells herself it's nothing, business, maybe, or something trivial he doesn't want to interrupt their moment with. But then it happens again, and again. He leaves to answer calls, goes out at unusual times. Their routine hospital checkup ends with him staying behind while he tells her go. "I just need to speak with the doctor for a minute," he says casually, offering that same calm smile that never quite invites questions. Call from the doctor, which he didn't let her answer while he was busy. Once, She reaches for his ringing phone out of instinct, but he gently takes it from her, his tone light. "I've got it," he says, almost too quickly. She watches him then, her brows slightly furrowed, something in her chest tightening just a little. "You're acting strange," she says later that evening, her voice careful, testing the waters rather than diving in. "Strange how?" he replies, leaning back, his expression relaxed. Like you're hiding something." He lets out a soft laugh, shaking his head. "If I were hiding something, I wouldn't be this bad at it." She stares at him for a second, then scoffs lightly. That's not reassuring. He reaches for her hand, his fingers warm, grounding. "Hey," he says gently, "you worry too much." And just like that, the tension begins to dissolve. He calms her, makes jokes, and makes her feel relaxed. He teases her about how dramatic she's becoming, about how she's already acting like a worried wife before the wedding even happens. She tries to hold on to her suspicion, but his ease, his softness, it melts it away faster than she can hold on to it. She then stops overthinking, or at least, she convinces herself she does. And somehow, their playful love story continues. But now it feels different. He's suddenly buying her stuffs she had always wanted. Things she mentioned casually months ago, things she never expected him to remember. A necklace she once pointed at in a store window. A pair of shoes she laughed about but never bought. Small, thoughtful gestures that pile up until they no longer feel random. "Since when did you become this attentive?" she asks one afternoon, turning the necklace in her hand, a smile playing on her lips. He shrugs lightly. "Maybe I've always been like this. You just didn't notice." She narrows her eyes at him playfully. Suspicious. But she's smiling. They're visiting places she had always wanted to be in. A quiet rooftop overlooking the city at sunset. A small cafe she once said she'd love to try. Even a spontaneous trip just to watch the ocean at night. Her laughter carried away by the wind as she holds on to him. It feels like a dream. Like everything is falling perfectly into place. As if he has limited time, but they're actually having the time of their lives. He watches her more now. Not in passing. Not casually. But deeply. Like he's trying to remember everything about her. The way she laughs. The way she talks too fast when she's excited. The way she leans into him without thinking. And sometimes, just for a second, his smile fades. But only for a second. Then it returns, just as warm, just as convincing. And Amara, caught in the beauty of it all, lets herself believe in the moment completely, never realizing that behind every perfect memory they're creating, there is something quietly counting down. She reveals in a shocking news that she's weeks pregnant. It doesn't come with preparation or build-up. It slips out of her in the middle of an ordinary moment, her voice trembling between disbelief and excitement. "June SEO. I went to the hospital today," she begins, her hands fidgeting slightly as she watches him. "I thought something was wrong, but it's not what I expected." He looks at her, attentive, calm as always. "What is it?" She swallows, her lips parting slowly. "I'm pregnant." The moment she tells him, the world stops. Everything around him seems to fade. The room, the air, even the sound of her breathing. For a split second, he doesn't react at all, as if his mind is catching up with something his heart has already understood. Then his expression changes, not into shock, but something heavier. Relief. A deep, overwhelming relief that settles into his eyes like something he's been waiting for without saying it out loud. He pulls her in immediately. Too tight, too long. Like he's afraid letting go will erase the moment. Amara laughs softly against his chest, slightly confused by the intensity. "Hey, you're squeezing me." "Sorry," he murmurs, though he doesn't let go right away. "I just needed to feel that." She pulls back slightly, studying his face. "You're happy, right?" He nods without hesitation. More than happy. And for the first time in a while, his smile feels complete. The days that follow move quickly, almost like life itself has picked up speed. The pregnancy becomes the center of their world. Doctor visits, quiet conversations about names, soft arguments about who the baby will resemble more. It all unfolds with a warmth that feels almost unreal. And then comes the wedding. A massively grand wedding. Not just big, but breathtaking. From the preparations to everything, it becomes an event people will talk about long after it ends. The venue glows with lights that shimmer like stars, the decorations rich and elegant, every detail carefully crafted to perfection. Music fills the air, laughter blends into celebration, and everywhere you look, there is beauty. Amara walks in like a vision, her presence commanding attention without effort. The dress, the lights, the atmosphere. It all feels like something out of a dream. June SEO stands waiting for her, his gaze fixed, unmoving, as if nothing else exists in that moment. When she reaches him, she whispers softly, "You didn't lie. This really is sooner than I expected." He smiles faintly. "I told you." The ceremony is filled with emotion, vows spoken with trembling voices, hands held tightly, promises made with a depth that only they fully understand. Guests laugh, cheer, celebrate. The night becomes alive with energy, music, and unforgettable moments. It was fun, lovely, entertaining. It was the luxurious and grand. But underneath it all, there's something tense in how he looks at her, like he's watching time slip through his fingers. His smiles come a little slower now, his movements slightly heavier. But no one notices, not in the middle of such overwhelming joy, not even her. And when the final celebration ends, when the music fades, when the last laughter echoes into silence, his body finally gives out. It happens without warning. One moment he's standing, watching her laugh with someone across the room. The next, he slumps, his body collapsing as if something inside him simply let go. Silence shatters. A glass falls. A scream cuts through the air. Chaos erupts instantly. June SEO. Amara's voice breaks as she rushes toward him, her heart dropping into a place she cannot reach. People gather. Voices rise. Hands reach out. But none of it feels real. All she sees is him, unmoving. And within seconds, everything shifts from celebration to panic. He is rushed to the hospital. And just like that, the happiest night of their lives turns into another fight for survival. The world outside the hospital becomes noise. Not distant noise, not something she can ignore, but loud, chaotic, overwhelming noise that crashes into her ears without meaning. Voices, footsteps, engines, people shouting. It all blends into one unbearable sound that she cannot separate from the pounding of her own heart. She is still in her wedding gown. The fabric that once flowed perfectly around her now drags against the ground, stained, wrinkled, torn at the edges where it caught against the car door in her panic. Her veil hangs loosely, half slipping off her head, clinging to her shoulders like something that no longer belongs to celebration. Her hands are shaking, but she doesn't stop, running like she's chasing his heartbeat itself. June SEO. June SEO, stay with me. Please, please stay with me. Her voice trembles as she repeats his name over and over again, like saying it enough times might pull him back. The car door swings open before it fully stops. She doesn't wait. She pulls him from the car herself, refusing help at first, ignoring the hands reaching out to assist, brushing them away with frantic urgency. No, I've got him. Just help me, please, she cries, her voice breaking under the weight of fear. His body feels heavier than it should. Too still, too quiet. His head falls slightly against her shoulder, and that alone sends a wave of terror through her chest. Don't do this to me, she whispers desperately, her voice cracking into something fragile and unrecognizable. Nurses rush in. Footsteps echo against the hospital entrance as doors swing open wide. The sudden brightness of the lights inside feels harsh, almost blinding. Get a stretcher now, someone shouts. The rolling bed appears within seconds, pushed quickly toward her as hands finally reach him. Ma'am, let us. No, she snaps instinctively, tightening her hold on him for just a second longer before finally allowing them to guide him onto the bed. Please be careful. Everything becomes motion. The wheels screech slightly as the stretcher begins to move at speed, voices overlapping, instructions flying back and forth in sharp, urgent tones. Pulse weak. Prepare oxygen. Move, but she doesn't stay behind. She runs with them, and then she climbs onto the moving stretcher beside him. Without thinking, without hesitation, her dress gathers beneath her knees as she leans over him, her hands already moving, her mind snapping into something sharp, focused, desperate. June SEO, can you hear me? Stay with me. Stay with me. There's no response. Her heart drops, and an instinct takes over. She begins CPR. Her hands press against his chest, firm, rhythmic, her breaths uneven but determined. 1, 2, 3, 4. She counts under her breath, her voice trembling but refusing to stop. A nurse reaches forward. "Ma'am, we'll take over." "No," she says sharply, her eyes blazing with something fierce. "I'm not stopping." Even in CPR, even in breath, she lowers herself quickly, giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, her hands trembling slightly, but her resolve unshaken. Her first aid skills kicking in, but this is no longer practice, no longer theory. This is everything. This is her refusing to lose him. "I'm right here. I'm right here," she whispers against his lips between breaths, her tears falling freely now, mixing with fear and determination. The staff exchange quick glances, but say nothing more. They adjust equipment around her, working with her instead of against her, their urgency matching hers. This is no longer just a medical procedure. This is a race. A desperate, relentless race to pull him back. The emergency doors slam open. Alarms explode into the air, sharp and unforgiving. Bright lights flood the space as machines are prepared, voices rising in intensity. "Clear the way." Vitals dropping move. Hands reach in again, stronger this time, guiding her away as they take over fully. "No, wait, I'm not." She struggles for a second, her fingers still clinging to him, unwilling to let go. "Ma'am, we need space," a doctor says firmly, but not unkindly. For a split second, she resists. Then she sees it, the seriousness, the finality in their urgency. And slowly, painfully, her hands let go. This is no longer training. This is no longer something she can control. This is everything slipping beyond her reach. They push him inside. The doors begin to close. "June SEO," she calls out, her voice breaking into a scream that echoes through the hallway. And then he disappears inside. The door is shut. And just like that, the noise stops. Not outside. Inside her. She's left outside, kneeling, her wedding gown spread around her like a broken memory of what the night was supposed to be. Her veil, now fully fallen, lies beside her forgotten. Her hands are still shaking, her chest rising and falling too fast, too uneven. Tears stream down her face without pause as she clasps her hands together, her lips moving rapidly. "Please, please don't take him from me. Please, not now, not like this." Family members and friends begin to gather around her. The same people who were laughing, dancing, celebrating just moments ago. Their faces are now filled with worry, shock, helplessness. Someone places a hand on her shoulder. Another kneels beside her, but she barely feels it. Her eyes remain fixed on the emergency doors, waiting, hoping, praying like the world depends on one heartbeat. Because to her, it does. The hallway feels colder now, not because of the air, but because of the waiting. Every second stretches painfully, dragging against Amara's chest as she paces, stops, sits, stands again, unable to stay still, unable to breathe properly. Her wedding gown, once radiant, now feels heavy on her body, like it carries everything that has gone wrong. The confrontation between her and the doctor doesn't begin calmly. It begins with urgency, with frustration, with fear that has nowhere else to go. The moment the doctor steps out, removing his gloves slowly, his face unreadable, Amara moves toward him immediately. "What's going on?" she demands, her voice shaking but firm. "What happened to him?" The doctor hesitates, clearly weighing his words. That hesitation is enough. Her expression hardens. "No," she says quickly, shaking her head. "Don't do that. Don't give me that look. I'm not one of those people you can hide things from." He exhales softly. "Ma'am, we're doing everything we can. I know that." she snaps, her voice breaking slightly. I know you are, but something is wrong, and I need you to tell me what it is. Her hands tremble as she gestures helplessly. He's been acting strange. The calls, the hospital visits, him staying behind after checkups. You think I didn't notice? The doctor says nothing, and that silence confirms everything. Her eyes widen slightly, panic creeping in deeper. What did he tell you? What did you both talk about that I wasn't allowed to hear? Still, the doctor hesitates, and that is when her voice drops, quieter now, but far more dangerous. Tell me the truth. The truth doesn't come like information. It comes like collapse, complications, risk, damage he was warned about, and still accepted alone. The doctor finally speaks, his tone measured but heavy. After the transplant, his body didn't fully adapt the way we hoped. There were signs, early signs of strain. We advised him to remain under close monitoring, to avoid stress, to consider long-term treatment. Amara stares at him, her lips parting slightly. And he refused to slow down. The doctor continues. He minimized the risks, said he had things he needed to do. Her breathing becomes uneven now. What kind of risks? The doctor pauses before answering. His condition could worsen over time. Organ strain, possible failure. We warned him that long-term complications were possible. Her head shakes slowly in disbelief. No, he would have told me. He wouldn't just. He chose not to. Those words hit harder than anything else. Her body goes still. Then the consent form. Signed alone. And that one line. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Final. If anything happens to me, do not inform her in a way that burdens her. The doctor's voice softens as he says it, but it doesn't make it easier to hear. Amara doesn't cry immediately. She freezes, because love like that feels unreal. Her eyes remain fixed, unblinking, as if her mind is refusing to process what she just heard. For a moment, the world around her disappears. The hallway, the people, the voices, everything fades into silence. Then it breaks her completely. A sound escapes her, not quite a sob, not quite a cry, but something raw and shattered from deep within her chest. Her knees weaken slightly, and she stumbles back, her hand covering her mouth as tears finally spill over uncontrollably. No, why would he do that? She whispers, shaking her head as if she can undo the truth by refusing it. Why would he hide something like this from me? Her voice rises, anger mixing with grief. Who does that? Who decides something like that alone? The doctor doesn't answer, because there is no answer that would satisfy her. She realizes something devastating. He didn't just save her. He protected her from even his suffering. That realization cuts deeper than the fear of losing him, because now she understands every smile, every calm response, every moment he brushed things off. It was never because nothing was wrong. It was because he didn't want her to carry it. She's broken and angry at why he hid such a huge information from her. Her tears come faster now, uncontrollable, her body trembling as she tries to make sense of a love that chose silence over shared pain. I'm his wife, she cries out, her voice cracking. I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to know. A hand rests on her shoulder, then another. Family members and friends who came for the wedding gather around her again. Their presence steady but unable to fill the emptiness opening inside her. It's okay, someone whispers. But it isn't. Nothing about this is okay. His survival chances are very slim. And for the first time since the night began, the reality fully settles in. She might lose him, not because he couldn't be saved, but because he chose to carry everything alone until it was too late. The room feels like an ending. Not in the way people speak of endings loudly, with final words of dramatic goodbyes, but in a quiet, suffocating way. The machines hum softly, the air smells sterile, and the faint beeping of monitors feels far too fragile to be trusted. He asks to see her alone. No one argues, because everyone feels it too. There is something in his voice when he makes the request, something calm, something settled, that makes it impossible to refuse. The room slowly empties, footsteps fading one after the other, until it is just the two of them again. Amara walks in slowly. not because she wants to take her time, but because her body refuses to move any faster. Her hands tremble at her sides, her breathing uneven, her eyes already filled with tears that haven't yet fallen. She sits beside him shaking before she even speaks. For a moment, she just looks at him, really looks, at the man who has somehow become both her greatest blessing and her deepest fear. Then everything comes out. Anger, love, fear, regret. Why would you do that? She finally bursts out, her voice cracking as the tears spill freely now. Why would you hide something like that from me? June SEO watches her quietly, his face pale but calm, his eyes softer than she's ever seen them. You think I'm that weak? She continues, her voice rising. You think I couldn't handle it? I'm your wife. I know, he says gently. No, you don't, she snaps immediately. If you did, you wouldn't have made that decision alone. You wouldn't have written that. That stupid note, like I'm some stranger you need to protect from the truth. Her words hit hard, but he doesn't react defensively. He just looks at her with something that almost feels like apology. I didn't want you to suffer with me, he says quietly. She lets out a broken laugh, shaking her head. So instead, you let me live happily while you were what? Dying in silence. I wasn't dying, he replies softly. You don't know that, she fires back, her voice trembling violently now. The doctors said. I know what they said, he cuts in gently, his tone still calm. I was there. That stops her. For a moment. But only for a moment. And you still chose not to tell me? She whispers, her voice dropping into something more fragile. You still decided I didn't deserve to know? His gaze softens even more. You deserved peace. Her lips tremble. I deserve the truth. Silence falls between them. Heavy. Unavoidable. Then the conversation breaks into impossible directions. She starts talking about their future child, her hands instinctively resting over her stomach as if protecting something that suddenly feels at risk. What am I supposed to do if something happens to you? She asks, her voice barely holding together. How do I raise our child and explain that their father chose not to stay? I didn't choose to leave, he says quietly. Then fight, she cries. Fight harder. Stay. Stay for us. He watches her, something flickering in his eyes. I'm trying. Tears stream down her face uncontrollably now. It's not enough. Her voice cracks again, breaking completely this time. Take it back then. Take it back from me. He frowns slightly. What? The kidney, she says desperately. Take it back. I'll give it to you. I don't care. I'll do it. I'll take your place if I have to. Amara. I mean it, she insists, gripping his hand tightly. I'll die in your place if that's what it takes. I'm not losing you. I'm not. Stop. He says softly, but firmly. She freezes. I didn't give you my kidney so you could offer your life back like it's a trade, he continues gently. I gave it because I wanted you to live. Fully. Without fear. Her breathing becomes uneven again, her body trembling as the weight of everything crashes into her all at once. Minutes pass. She keeps talking. About everything. Their child. Their future. Her fears. Her anger. Her love. Words pour out of her endlessly. Like if she stops speaking, something irreversible will happen. And then, silence stretches too long. She's still talking when she realizes it. And you'll be there when the baby is born, right? You have to be there, June SEO, you can't just. She stops. Something feels off. Too still. Too quiet. She looks at him. June SEO. No response. Her heart skips violently. June SEO, she calls again, her voice shaking. Nothing. Her body breaks before her voice does. A cold wave of panic crashes through her, stealing the air from her lungs as her hands begin to tremble uncontrollably. No, 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 no. She stumbles back, her chest tightening painfully. Then she screams. A loud, piercing scream that echoes through the hallway as she runs out of the room. You can't die, don't leave me. Her voice breaks into sobs as she rushes toward the nurse's station, her vision blurred with tears. Help him. Please, he's not responding, please. Doctors rush in immediately, their movements quick, urgent, practiced. They push past her, entering the room with speed. Amara follows behind, her entire body shaking, her heart pounding so violently it feels like it might stop. And then, they pause. Confusion flickers across one of the doctor's faces. Amara steps in fully and sees him. June SEO, awake, blinking, looking around slowly. Alive, just waking up. She freezes. What? Her voice comes out faint, disoriented. He looks at her, slightly confused. Why are you shouting? She stares at him, unable to process what she's seeing. I thought. She begins, her voice trembling again. You weren't responding. I thought you. I fell asleep, he says simply, his tone soft, almost apologetic. You were talking for a long time. Silence. Then, someone lets out a small laugh. Another follows. And suddenly the room shifts. From fear, to disbelief, to laughter. Relieved, shaky, emotional laughter that breaks through the tension that had consumed everything just seconds ago. Amara stands there, tears still streaming down her face, staring at him like she's deciding whether to cry harder or hit him. Ew. She starts, her voice shaking. You scared me. I'm sorry, he says gently. She walks toward him slowly, then lightly hits his arm through her tears. Don't ever do that again. I won't, he promises softly. She leans forward, resting her forehead against his chest, her body finally giving in to the exhaustion of everything she just felt. He places a weak hand over her head, his touch gentle. I'm not leaving you, he murmurs quietly. And for the first time since the chaos began, she allows herself to believe it. Weeks later, he walks out of the hospital alive, not just surviving, but returning. The moment feels quiet, almost unreal. There are no loud celebrations, no dramatic speeches, just a soft kind of relief that settles into the air as Amara walks beside him, her hand firmly wrapped around his like she has no intention of ever letting go again. Life outside feels different, quieter, warmer. Even the sunlight seems softer, like the world itself has decided to be gentle with them for once. She's visibly pregnant now, her once subtle bump now impossible to ignore, and June SEO notices everything about it like it's the most fascinating thing he has ever seen. Wait, walk again, he says one afternoon, leaning against the doorway with a teasing smile. Amara pauses mid-step, narrowing her eyes. What do you mean walk again? That little waddle thing you just did, he replies, trying and failing to hide his amusement. Her jaw drops slightly. Excuse me? Waddle. He chuckles softly. It's cute. She folds her arms immediately. I'm carrying your children, June SEO. Our children, he corrects with a grin. And I appreciate it. Deeply. But that doesn't mean I won't laugh a little. She picks up a pillow and throws it at him without hesitation. You're unbelievable. He catches it easily, still smiling. And you love me. She tries to hold her annoyed expression, but it breaks within seconds, her lips curving into a reluctant smile. Unfortunately, her cravings become a daily adventure. One minute she wants something sweet, the next she's demanding something completely random at odd hours. June SEO, I need ice cream, she says one night, her voice serious. It's 2 a.m., and he stares at her for a moment, then sighs dramatically. Of course. Minutes later, he's back, slightly out of breath, holding multiple flavors. You didn't say which one, he explains. She blinks at him, surprised. You bought all of them? He shrugs. Didn't want to get it wrong. Her expression softens instantly, her hand reaching for his. You are trying too hard. I'm making up for lost time, he replies quietly. That line lingers, but not heavily this time. Just gently. Her sleepy moods come without warning, too. Sometimes she's mid-conversation, and suddenly her head drops onto his shoulder. Amara, he calls softly. She mumbles, half asleep. You were just talking. I still am, she murmurs. He chuckles under his breath, adjusting himself so she's more comfortable. Okay. Everything becomes laughter again. Not forced. Not fragile. Real. Months pass like this, filled with small moments that feel bigger than anything they've ever known. Every doctor's visit brings reassurance. Every heartbeat, They hear strengthens something inside them. And then the day comes. The hospital room fills with tension again, but this time it's different. Not fear, not desperation, but anticipation that feels almost overwhelming. Junicio stays right beside her, his hand never leaving hers. "You're doing amazing," he whispers, his voice steady despite the intensity of the moment. She squeezes his hand tightly. "If I survive this, you owe me everything." He smiles. "Deal." Hours pass. Pain, breathing, encouragement, and then a cry. Sharp, clear, alive. Then another. 2 cries. 2 miracles. Junicio freezes for a moment, his eyes widening as the sound fills the room, something deep inside him breaking open in the best way possible. Amara exhales, exhausted but smiling weakly. "That's not one baby." He lets out a breathless laugh, tears forming in his eyes. "No, it's not." The nurses move gently, placing the babies where she can see them, where he can reach them. 2 tiny lives. Proof of everything they went through. Proof that they made it. And after everything they lost, feared, and survived, they finally live. Not untouched. Not perfect. But together. Junicio looks at her, then at their children, his voice soft but certain. "We're really here." Amara nods slowly, her eyes filled with quiet happiness. "Yeah, we are." She glances at him, a playful spark returning despite her exhaustion. "You know what's funny?" "What?" he asks. She smirks faintly. "Between the 2 of us, we're functioning with 1 kidney each." He pauses, then laughs softly, shaking his head. "That's actually insane. But we made it work," she says gently. He leans closer, pressing a soft kiss against her forehead. "We always will. And somehow, that is enough." If you made it to the end, don't leave without hitting the subscribe button. It motivates us and helps us create more amazing stories just for you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.